Hey, why are you even here? Can't you just leave already? The bride, Michelle, scratched up her face as if she was looking at something filthy. Then she waved her hand as if to shoo away an animal. Taken aback, I asked, Michelle, did I do something wrong? What? Nothing at all. We don't need someone fat and ugly like you at our wedding. I chose such a beautiful venue, and having someone sweaty and overweight like you would just ruin the atmosphere. I was shocked by her words. Sure, I'm a bit heavier than others, but I'm not uncouth. Of course, I dressed appropriately for the celebration. Today it's my dear brother's wedding, who has always supported and believed in my dreams. Though I felt a bit wronged, I had decided to celebrate wholeheartedly. Yet just because I'm overweight, I'm not even allowed to be part of the celebration. Understood, then I'll leave. I felt miserable, clutching the hem of my navy blue party dress chosen to complement the white wedding gowns. I left. My name is Jessica. I'm turning 30 this year, working and managing households. I met my husband, George, through my brother. I rarely interacted with men due to my job, and due to my introverted nature, I struggled to make even male friends after becoming an adult, let alone think about marriage. But my brother David broke through that situation. I remember well when he introduced me to George, whom he met at work, saying confidently, "He's the man I'm expecting you to like." George, a bit timid but kind and understanding of my work, quickly bonded with me. Naturally, after dating for a year, marriage was the next step. Thus, my brother was like a Cupid for our relationship. However, his own love life wasn't as fortunate. Even after I got married, he remained single, devoted to his work. He always said it was just a lack of good encounters or timing, but that's just David for you. In some ways, inefficient but a kind, reliable person who looks after others yet becomes careless when it's about himself. It was worrying to see. I remember when I was contemplating my current job, he said, then I'd be thrilled to support Jessica, and promptly decided on his employment. He had his own dreams and desires, yet he quickly chose to support me when he heard I was struggling. Thanks to him stepping into the industry first, I've been able to continue my dream job even after marrying and having children. Not just marriage, my brother is a lifesaver in my life. So when I heard he was thinking of getting married, I was naturally surprised. Wait, David has a fiancé. What? Is that bad? Not at all. I'm really happy. I shouted excitedly at my brother, who was scratching his head in embarrassment, then quickly covered my mouth, lowering my voice. What's she like? Someone from the industry? No, a friend introduced us. I think she works at a bank or something. Wow, a hard-working woman. That's great. Who would have thought David would actually settle down? Hey, what's that supposed to mean? Anyway, I'm bringing her home this Sunday. Want to come and meet her? You seem eager. Really, then maybe I'll leave May with George and come home too. May is probably about to forget what mom looks like. Stop it. I do rely a lot on George, though. She's the woman my brother chose. I had always thought she must be a kind, positive woman who cares about others. But that expectation was betrayed in a way I never imagined. Michelle, I've been dating David with the intention of marriage for the past 6 months. Thank you so much for inviting me to your family gathering, she said as she greeted us. My brother's fiancée was a beautiful woman with a somewhat sharp impression. She glanced at our family with a piercing gaze and then smiled at our parents. Did she just look at me with a cold eye, or is it just my imagination? I tried to dress neatly and simply, not too fancy, as I was meeting the woman who might become my sister-in-law. Did I do something wrong? While I was nervously checking my outfit, my brother, noticing everyone's tension, laughed loudly to lighten the mood. Come on, Michelle, don't be so formal. This isn't a business setting. This is Dad, John, and Mom, Sarah, and over there is my sister, Jessica. Everyone, don't get too tense just because Michelle is beautiful. John, Sarah, Jessica, nice to meet you. See, Michelle, you're too formal. Thanks to my brother playing the mood maker, we somehow made it through the first meal with Michelle. After talking for a while, Michelle's cold expression began to soften, and the mood lightened as we shared childhood memories of my parents and brother. Excuse me, Jessica, where's the bathroom? Michelle asked, looking troubled. I quickly stood up to show her the way, smiling. We decided to leave the room together, perhaps because we were both women. I was pleased that she asked me instead of my brother, and I walked lightly towards the bathroom. But then I heard Michelle's soft laughter behind me. Why? There was something unpleasant about that laughter, as if it were mocking something. I couldn't help but turn around and ask, is something wrong? Even if Michelle was laughing at a memory, her laughter sounded like mockery. No, it's just that your footsteps are so loud, I found it funny. Oh, really? Yes, I thought it's funny how heavy people have louder footsteps. What did she just say? Something incredibly rude. As I stood there stunned, Michelle looked at me and laughed mockingly. It was the kind of laughter you wouldn't want to hear anywhere. Being overweight must be tough. Just a little walk, and you're already out of breath. Oh dear, it's starting, the smell. That's the worst. Despite her lovely smile, the words flowing out were insults directed at me. I blinked repeatedly, looking at Michelle in disbelief. Oh, what do you mean? I could only ask in a trembling, unsettled voice, but ignoring my bewildered state, Michelle continued. David worked in an entertainment agency, so I expected his family to be glamorous. I was so disappointed to find his sister overweight and unattractive. Or maybe you just don't understand social etiquette. Normally, it's rude to greet your brother's fiancé looking like that. You must have been too busy thinking about food to realize that the bathroom is over there. Thanks, chubby and ugly, she sneered and threw a twisted smile at me before slamming the door shut. Left alone in the hallway, I was stunned, replaying Michelle's words in my mind. Fat, ugly, and lacking common sense. I couldn't believe such harsh words came from Michelle, who had been having pleasant conversations with my family just moments ago. Sure, I might be a bit larger than others, and compared to the stylish Michelle, I might even weigh twice as much. But that's due to my body type, which easily gains weight even with little food. I take extra care to stay clean, and I'm sure I don't have the body odor Michelle mentioned. Still, being insulted about my body shape to my face was quite a shock. I involuntarily hugged myself and looked down. What's wrong? My brother asked. Maybe he noticed we've been talking in the hallway for a while. Should I tell him about Michelle's cruel words? No, I can't. I can't tell my happily smiling brother that his fans said unbearable things to me. I bit my lip and said, it's nothing, just some girl talk. From then on, whenever Michelle and I were alone, she would berate me with insults about my looks and weight. But she only did this when we were alone. In front of others, especially my brother and the rest of the family, she never uttered such words in public. She played the role of a kind sister-in-law towards me. As a result, my brother and the rest of the family seemed to think Michelle and I had become close. The engagement proceeded smoothly, and the only event left was the wedding. There were concerns about Michelle's attitude towards me, but otherwise she was perfect. My brother, who had always worked for others, was finally doing something for himself. I genuinely wanted to support that. I decided to do everything a family member could do to help with the wedding. I struggled with unfamiliar tasks like practicing the surprise entertainment for the ceremony and creating a welcome board. Certainly, here's the text punctuated and formatted into short paragraphs. But I persevered, thinking it was all for my brother's happy memories. Then came the wedding day, dressed in a navy blue dress chosen to complement the white wedding gown. I was eagerly preparing my daughter, Em, who was being looked after by the staff as she practiced being the flower girl. My parents were already taking numerous photos of her adorable antics, so she should be fine for a while. As for me, I was busy running around for the final rehearsal of the entertainment. I was being called here and there. It's different from my usual work, so I was inevitably flustered. My place is here, and then there is the MC check. Even George, who usually works behind the scenes, was hurrying around in his suit. We were allowed into the venue early as family, and watching it being decorated, I found myself strangely hoping for a good ceremony, even forgetting the conflict with Michelle for a moment. In the midst of finalizing the entertainment details, I was trying to call George, who was nowhere to be seen. When Michelle called me from behind, she seemed desperate, either in the middle of fitting her dress or doing her makeup. I rushed over, thinking there might be some trouble, and was pulled into a dressing room. "Why are you here?" was the first thing she said. "Oh, why? Well, whatever. Can you just leave?" I asked Michelle, confused. "Leave? Did I do something wrong?" "Something wrong? There's nothing. We don't need someone fat and ugly like you at our wedding. We chose a beautiful venue, and someone sweaty and fat like you would just ruin the atmosphere." Then she gestured dismissively, as if shooing away an animal. "It's true. I might be a bit disheveled from hurrying around for the final entertainment check, but I intended to tidy it up before the ceremony starts. I'm certainly not in an unclean state to be called sweaty." However, according to Michelle, no matter how much I dressed up, it wouldn't matter because my old, overweight, and unattractive presence would only make the wedding unpleasant. "Anyway, having someone like you here would be the worst. Just leave quickly. If other guests see you, I can't believe you're part of the new family, and you didn't even have the decency to stay away from the wedding. Even a real pig would have more sense." Her torrent of insults made my head go cold. I put my mobile phone back in my handbag. My mind bewildered, I understood. Then I left. After walking a bit, I got into a taxi and decided to go home. I felt miserably close to tears as I walked, but I desperately held them back. So, with unsteady feet, I made it back home. Sitting on the sofa without even taking off my stockings, I stared blankly at the clock, which showed the time when the wedding was supposed to start. Come to think of it, I left without saying anything to George or my brother. N should be fine with Mom and the others, but I really should say something to George. As I was pondering what to say, reaching for my mobile phone from my handbag, it suddenly rang loudly. Startled, I dropped the phone. When I picked it up, I saw Michelle's name on the display. Why Michelle? Maybe my brother was using Michelle's phone, I thought as I tapped the answer button. "Come back right now," screamed Michelle's voice. Huh? But she kept ranting about coming back. I couldn't understand her hysterical shouting, performing and saying it was all a lie. What do you mean? You told me to leave, Michelle, right?" "Yes, but that's not what I meant." Interrupting her incomprehensible words, I heard my brother's voice asking, "Jessica, David, oh sorry, there was some trouble, and I'm at home." "Yeah, I know. Michelle told you to leave, right?" "You knew?" "Yes, George and I heard everything Michelle said to you." This is what my brother told me. After that, it turned out that when Michelle had called me, I was trying to call George, who was in the same venue. My mobile phone was still on when Michelle started her tirade, and a call had connected with George. Shocked by the harsh words Michelle was spewing, George had quickly alerted my brother. They both heard everything, Michelle's vile words and my lifeless responses through the phone. George acted swiftly, realizing the person being insulted was his wife. He recorded the audio from the call, so during the time I was supposed to perform at the wedding, they played that recording instead. My brother explained. George then announced over the microphone, "Today, Jessica, an opera singer and the groom's sister, was supposed to sing a surprise celebratory song. However, the bride, Michelle, drove her away. Please listen to these words. That's right, I'm an opera singer. Most of my career is overseas, so I'm not that well known domestically, but everyone in the entertainment industry whom my brother had invited knew me. After all, my brother had entered the industry to support my career, so his contacts were essentially mine." With that audio of Michelle belittling me played in front of them, Michelle must have felt extremely certainly. Here's the continuation of the text, punctuated and formatted into short paragraphs. Uncomfortable. Even if Michelle's acquaintances didn't know me, they would understand that she heard terrible insults at the groom's sister and even had her thrown out of the venue. Michelle had returned to the dressing room in a hasty retreat from the wedding and was contacting me to come back. I didn't know, nobody told me, and what about it? A pig-like sister is more important than me? My sister was just as important to me until a few hours ago, but I can't cherish someone who doesn't respect my family. My brother replied calmly to the shouting Michelle, as I could hear over the phone. With Michelle's ranting and my brother's calm responses, a week had passed since the disastrous wedding. My brother and Michelle had spectacularly broken off their engagement. Fortunately, since the wedding didn't conclude, my brother didn't end up with a divorce on his record. As for Michelle, she voluntarily resigned from the bank she was working at and returned to her parents' home. As I heard through rumors, apparently she had invited friends and colleagues to the wedding, and all of them had heard her unbelievable tirade. Michelle, who had always portrayed herself as a perfect and outstanding woman, was exposed as a fraud after those remarks. Despite pretending to be a kind and gentle woman, her true nature of ruthlessly eliminating anyone who displeased her was revealed. This made her feel unwelcome both at her job and in her private life, leading to her resignation. It's unclear what path her life will take now, having not only failed at marriage but also lost friends at her job. As for me, I'm still busy traveling between domestic and international engagements for work. Every time I sing the piece I was supposed to perform at my brother's wedding, I wonder if the day will ever come when I get to perform it for him. Marriage is about finding the right person, hoping that a wonderful partner will appear for my brother someday. I continue to stand on stage today.